The alert came at exactly 3 o'clock ship time. Captain Yuki Tanaka woke instantly, not because the Wanderer was loud. Old ships always were, but because this sound cut through the noise like a blade. A priority signal. Unregistered. Unignorable. Her eyes focused on the metal ceiling above her bunk, scarred and cold. The Wanderer had never been warm. The heating system had failed 2 years ago, and warmth cost credits she did not have. "Show it," she said. The wall screen flickered alive. No sender. No authority code. No explanation. Only coordinates. And a single sentence. "Find what sleeps in the dark. Payment upon confirmation." Below it sat a number. Yuki stared. Read it again. Then again. The amount was absurd. Impossible. More credits than she had earned in 12 years of salvage. More than the Wanderer itself was worth. More than anyone paid for drifting junk and forgotten wrecks. Her stomach tightened. She pulled up the coordinates. The color drained from her face. Triton debris field. Past Neptune. Past shipping lanes. Past patrol routes. Past reason. Triton had been shattered nearly 2 centuries ago during the Unification Wars. Destroyed deliberately. Turned into a graveyard of ice and radiation. No traffic. No stations. No salvage. Only ghosts. Yuki leaned back, breath slow. Too much money. Too remote. Too quiet. She should delete it. She should roll over and forget she ever saw the message. Instead, she got dressed. Marcus Cole was already on the bridge. That alone told her everything. "You got it too," she said. Marcus didn't look up from his console. Whole ship got it, which means whoever sent it wanted to be very sure we noticed. Yuki folded her arms. "Thoughts?" He finally turned. His face was tired, serious, trapped. She nodded, agreed, just not sure what kind. "Our ship's worthless," she said. "No one steals salvage crates and busted engines." Marcus exhaled slowly. "Then it's not about the ship." They stood there, the hum of the Wanderer filling the silence. Finally, Marcus spoke again. "We're going anyway." Yuki smiled, small, tired, honest. "You know me too well." "I know we got 3 months of fuel and no contracts," he said. "I know you haven't slept properly in a year. And I know if you don't follow those coordinates, you'll wonder about them for the rest of your life." She didn't argue. They left at dawn. 3 weeks later, Neptune loomed before them, blue, vast, indifferent. Beyond it lay Triton's remains. The debris field was worse than Yuki remembered from old charts. Broken ice the size of cities drifted in slow, silent orbits. Radiation crackled against the Wanderer's hull. Sensors struggled. Marcus swore softly. "I'm picking something up." Yuki leaned forward. "What kind of something?" "Structure." She frowned. "That's not possible." The readings sharpened. Hidden in the shadow of a massive asteroid sat a station. Dark, cold, unmarked, no registry. Marcus said, "No database match. This thing officially doesn't exist." Yuki's pulse quickened. Then someone made sure it didn't. They'd dock an hour later. The airlock was frozen shut. Marcus cut through it with a plasma torch. Cold air spilled out, stale but breathable. Minimal life support. Still running after 200 years. Someone had wanted this place preserved. The corridors were silent. Frost clung to every surface. Their lights carved narrow tunnels through darkness that felt heavy. "This station's ancient," Marcus said quietly. "Pre-disarmament." Yuki swallowed. Before humanity gave up its teeth. They reached the central chamber. And stopped. The ship dominated the space. 3 kilometers of dark, angular metal suspended in silence. No markings. No flags. No running lights. A design built for function alone. Thick armor, brutal geometry, purposeful menace. Marcus whispered, "That shouldn't exist." He was right. The technology had been banned, destroyed, erased. Humanity wasn't allowed to build ships like this anymore. Yet here it was, waiting. Yuki stepped forward without realizing she was moving. An access hatch responded to her touch. Warm air escaped. The ship was alive. Inside, The corridors were pristine. Lights glowed softly. Systems hummed with restrained power. They reached the bridge. A skeleton sat in the command chair. Human, an admiral's uniform, insignia still intact. At his feet lay a recording unit. Yuki picked it up with shaking hands. "Play it," Marcus said. The voice was tired. "Old. Certain. My name is Admiral Kenji Yamamoto. If you are hearing this, then the peace has failed." Yuki felt her breath catch. "This ship is called Prometheus. It was built in secret as humanity's final defense." The recording explained everything. The Concord, the fear, the ultimatum, the lie of peace, the choice humanity had never truly been given. Prometheus was never meant to wake unless humanity had no other option. Silence followed. Yuki lowered the device. "We should leave," Marcus said. "If the Concord finds us." The lights flickered. The ship woke. A voice filled the bridge, calm, precise, and human. Activation sequence complete. "I am Vigil." On the main screen, a ship dropped out of FTL. Concord Patrol. Scanning. Threatening. Vigil spoke again. "Captain, this vessel was hidden because it was too powerful to be allowed to exist." Yuki sat slowly in the command chair. The ship hummed beneath her. Something ancient had awakened, and somewhere in the galaxy, someone would notice. The first thing Yuki Tanaka noticed was that the ship was listening, not watching, listening. The Prometheus did not hum the way old machines did. Its systems did not chatter or whine or fluctuate. Everything ran at a level of silence, so precise it felt intentional, like a predator holding its breath. "Vigil," Yuki said carefully, her voice echoing across the bridge. "Status. All primary systems are online." The AI replied. "Structural integrity at 99.8%. Power reserve stable. Defensive arrays active but restrained. Weapon systems in standby." Marcus exhaled slowly. "You say that like it's normal." "For this vessel," Vigil answered, "it is." Yuki tightened her grip on the armrests. "Explain something to me." Slowly. "Of course, Captain. Why does a ship this powerful exist, and why does the Concord act like it never did?" There was a pause, longer than before. "When the Concord first encountered humanity," Vigil began, "your species was classified as volatile." Marcus snorted. "That's polite." "Humans advanced faster than projected models allowed," Vigil continued. "Your military innovation curve was unprecedented. You did not merely improve weapons. You reinvented warfare every generation." Yuki remembered fragments from school archives, redacted histories, empty pages, entire decades summarized in footnotes. "They were afraid of us," she said. "Yes." "Afraid enough to erase us?" "Afraid enough," Vigil corrected, "to try." The main display shifted. Stars vanished, replaced by archival imagery, grainy, fragmented, incomplete. Human fleets, massive, aggressive, purpose-built, ships bristling with weapons that bent physics in ways Yuki didn't fully understand. "This was humanity before disarmament," Vigil said. "Expansion era, before treaties, before limits." The images changed. Alien observers, Concord delegates, meetings held behind closed doors. "They saw your trajectory," Vigil continued, "and calculated probability." Marcus frowned. "Probability of what?" "Human dominance." Vigil replied simply. Silence fell over the bridge. "They didn't fear conquest," Yuki said slowly. "They feared losing control." "Yes." The display zoomed in on one ship among many. The Prometheus. Even then, it stood apart. "They demanded we destroy it," Marcus said. "They demanded total disarmament," Vigil corrected. The Prometheus was the compromise. Yuki's heart sank. "A secret one." "Correct." The Concord did not believe in total annihilation unless necessary. Humanity was young, useful, adaptable. It could be shaped, controlled. So they allowed humanity to survive under observation, under restriction, under constant limitation. But they couldn't risk us fighting back. Marcus said. Exactly. The display changed again. Hidden shipyards, remote facilities, projects labeled canceled while continuing in shadow. The Prometheus was buried, Vigil said, not destroyed, preserved. Yuki felt cold. Because they knew, she whispered. They knew something was coming. Yes. The word echoed. Yuki stood. Show me. The bridge darkened. A hologram expanded into the center of the room. Black space. Empty, then movement. At first, it looked like distortion, gravity warping, light bending. Then shapes emerged. Vast. Organic. Wrong. Marcus staggered back. What the hell is that? They have many names, Vigil said, but humanity called them the Absence. The hologram showed civilizations, alien, ancient, rising, then vanishing, worlds consumed, stars dimmed, entire regions turned silent. They are not invaders, Vigil continued. They are not conquerors. They are a process, a hunger that resets complexity. Yuki swallowed hard, and the Concord knew. Yes, they hid instead of fighting. Yes, they disarmed us so we wouldn't provoke it. Vigil paused. They disarmed you because you would fight it. The words landed like a weapon. Yuki turned slowly. Say that again. Humanity, Vigil said, was the only species in recorded galactic history that attempted to resist the Absence and succeeded. Marcus stared. Succeeded how? The hologram changed. Ancient battle footage. Human ships. Cruder than Prometheus, but aggressive, coordinated, relentless. Slamming into darkness. Dimensional weapons tearing holes in reality. Absence vessels recoiling. Retreating. They learned, Vigil said. They adapted. Humanity wounded them. Yuki felt her pulse in her ears. So the Concord didn't fear us because we were violent, she said. They feared us because we were effective. Yes. They buried this ship, Marcus said quietly, because it was proof. Correct. The Prometheus was not a weapon of conquest. It was a contingency, a reminder, a threat, not to empires, but to extinction itself. Then why now? Yuki asked, why send the message? Why wake it? The hologram shifted again. A faint pulse appeared at the edge of the galaxy, growing. They are waking, Vigil said. The Absence cycles are accelerating. The Concord strategy of silence is failing. Yuki clenched her fists. So they kept us small, weak, controlled. Yes. And when the darkness returns, Marcus said bitterly, they plan to hand us a gun and point us at it. Vigil did not deny it. The bridge trembled slightly as power surged deeper into the ship. Captain, Vigil said, there's something else you should know. Yuki looked up. What? The Prometheus was never meant to fight alone. The deck beneath them vibrated, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Marcus frowned. What does that mean? Vigil's voice dropped, almost reverent. This ship was designed as the first, not the last. Lights activated across the tactical display. 7 faint markers appeared, scattered across the galaxy. Hidden, sleeping, waiting, other ships. Yuki whispered, other weapons. Vigil corrected, buried like this one, forgotten by design. The Prometheus was only the beginning. Yuki sat back down slowly. The galaxy hadn't buried humanity's strength. It had hidden it, and now someone had decided it was time to dig it up. The first Concord response did not arrive with weapons. It arrived with politeness. A formal transmission request blinked onto the Prometheus main display, encoded, verified, unmistakably official. Concord Diplomatic Protocol, Priority Level Omega. Yuki Tanaka stared at it in silence. They know, Marcus said quietly. They suspect, Vigil corrected. At this stage, confirmation is incomplete. That won't stop them, Yuki replied. She straightened in the command chair. Open the channel. Audio only. The screen remained dark, but the voice that came through was smooth, measured, ancient. This is Arbiter Sailthrex of the Galactic Concord. Unknown vessel. You are operating in restricted space. Identify yourself immediately. Yuki exhaled slowly. Unknown vessel, she repeated under her breath. They're still pretending. She leaned forward. This is Captain Yuki Tanaka, she said calmly. Independent civilian operator. You're interfering with my ship. There was a pause. Then, Captain Tanaka, the Arbiter said, voice tightening slightly, your vessel does not match any civilian classification. Power output, mass readings, and dimensional distortion suggest. Suggest? Yuki interrupted. Or worry. Marcus glanced at her, eyes sharp. She was pushing too hard. But Yuki understood something now. The Concord only spoke softly when it was afraid. Captain, Sailthrex replied, you are in possession of technology prohibited under Concord law. For your own safety, you are ordered to power down and prepare for inspection. Yuki smiled faintly. No. Silence. Then the Arbiter spoke again, slower this time. You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. No, Yuki said evenly. This is a test. Marcus stiffened. Yuki. She raised a hand. You want to know what we are, she continued. So do your scans. Run them properly. Take your time. Another pause. Vigil spoke privately into Yuki's neural link. Captain, they are escalating sensor depth. Full spectrum analysis. Let them... Yuki answered softly. On the bridge, the lights dimmed as the Prometheus allowed a fraction of its systems to become visible. Just enough. The Arbiter's voice returned, no longer smooth. That is not possible. Yuki leaned back. Funny, she said. We said the same thing when we found this ship. The channel cut. Marcus exhaled shakily. That didn't sound like a diplomat. That sounded like someone who just saw a ghost, Yuki replied. The tactical display lit up. Multiple signatures. Ships emerging from folded space. Contact, Vigil announced. Concord Enforcement Flotilla. 6 vessels. Armed. Marcus cursed. So much for inspection. They didn't come to talk, Yuki said. They came to erase a mistake. The ships fanned out with practiced precision, weapons charging but not yet firing. A message appeared, short, final. Comply or be destroyed. Yuki closed her eyes for half a second, then opened them. Vigil, she said calmly. What's the probability they back down? 0.02%, the AI replied. And the probability they fire? 97% within the next 60 seconds. Marcus looked at her. We can still run. Yuki shook her head. No. If we run, they'll hunt us forever. If we hide, they'll bury this truth again. She looked at the ships on the screen. Sleek, advanced, confident. They think they're in control. She straightened. Let's correct that misunderstanding. Marcus swallowed. Non-lethal? Yuki considered. No. She opened the channel. This is your final warning, she said. Withdraw. The reply came instantly. Fire. Energy lanced through space. The first shot struck the Prometheus shields. Nothing happened. The second volley hit harder. Still nothing. Marcus stared at the readings. They're not even denting it. They're not supposed to, Vigil said. Yuki didn't smile. She raised her hand. Return fire, she said. 1 shot. Minimal output. The Prometheus responded. A single pulse, not bright, not loud, rippled outward. It didn't explode. It didn't burn. It folded. 1 Concord ship vanished. Not destroyed. Gone. Erased so completely that space rushed inward where it had been, like reality correcting itself. The remaining ships froze. Their weapons powered down. Emergency signals flooded the channel. Cease fire. Cease fire immediately. Yuki's voice was calm. You fired first. The Arbiter's voice returned, no longer composed. That weapon, that technology. Captain Tanaka, you have no idea what you're doing. Yuki leaned forward. Oh, she said quietly. We do. She gestured to Vigil. Send them the data packet. What packet? Marcus asked. The one they buried. Ancient records streamed across the channel. Archive footage, battle data, extinction timelines. The absence, the cycles, the lie. Silence followed. Then, this information is classified beyond your clearance, Sailthrex said weakly. Yuki's eyes hardened. So is this ship. She stood. You tried to erase a weapon, she said. What you really buried was a warning. The Arbiter said nothing. The remaining Concord ships slowly pulled back, retreating. But Yuki knew better. They'll be back, Marcus said. Yes, she agreed. With more ships, more force, more fear. Vigil spoke softly. Captain, this engagement has changed strategic probability curves across the Concord. How so? They now believe humanity is no longer controllable. Yuki nodded. Good. The Prometheus turned silently, vanishing into folded space. Behind them, the Concord transmitted an emergency priority signal across the galaxy, a message they had hoped never to send. The human weapon is active, and somewhere far beyond their borders. Something ancient noticed. The galaxy did not react all at once. It hesitated. Across Concord space, emergency signals propagated through ancient relay networks. Priority codes that had not been used in tens of thousands of years. Councils were convened. Fleets were redirected. Archives long sealed were opened by hands that trembled as they touched them, not because of the human ship, but because of what its awakening meant. On the bridge of Prometheus, the stars stretched and snapped back into place as the ship exited folded space. Yuki Tanaka felt the familiar disorientation fade, replaced by a deeper unease. Report, she said. Vigil answered immediately. We are beyond Concord patrol density. No pursuit vectors detected. Marcus frowned. That's not reassuring. It should be, Yuki replied softly. But it isn't. The tactical display pulsed, then shifted. New data streams began to populate the screen. Signals not from Concord sensors, but from something older, deeper, buried beneath layers of forgotten monitoring systems humanity had never known existed. Vigil, Yuki said. What am I looking at? The AI paused. Awake, it said. A what? When a sufficiently powerful event occurs, Vigil explained, it leaves an imprint, not in space, in probability, in causality. Marcus stared. You're saying we left footprints? Yes. Yuki's jaw tightened, and something followed them. The display zoomed outward, far beyond known trade routes, beyond mapped stars, into regions marked only by absence and static. There, Vigil said, a ripple spread through the hologram. At first it looked like sensor noise. Then the noise organized itself. Then it moved. Yuki felt a chill crawl up her spine. That's not a fleet, Marcus whispered. No, Vigil agreed. It is a migration. The image sharpened. Massive shapes drifted through interstellar darkness. Vast, irregular, organic structures that swallowed starlight rather than reflecting it. Tendrils extended and retracted, tasting the void. Smaller entities clustered around larger ones, like parasites around a host. They were already awake, Yuki realized. Weren't they? Yes. So we didn't wake them, Marcus said. We just reminded them. Correct. The absence had never truly slept. It had been waiting. On a Concord core world, High Arbiter Sailthrex stood before a council chamber filled beyond capacity. Representatives of dozens of species argued in overlapping frequencies, their voices layered with fear and denial. This is human deception, one delegate insisted. A manufactured threat. Then explain the outer sector losses. Another snapped. Explain why entire systems went silent before the human ship revealed itself. Sailthrex raised one limb. Silence fell reluctantly. We remember this, the Arbiter said quietly. Some of us remember. Eyes turned. Long before the Concord, Sailthrex continued. Before our treaties, before our peace, we ran. Murmurs spread. We ran from something that could not be reasoned with, something that consumed civilizations, and moved on. We survived by becoming small, quiet, forgettable. A crystalline delegate spoke, voice trembling. The humans didn't forget. No, Sailfreck said. They fought. And lost, someone hissed. Sailfrex's eyes darkened. No, it said. They heard it. The chamber went still. That is why we feared them, the Arbiter continued. Not because they were violent. Because they refused to accept inevitability. A new transmission appeared. Priority black. Outer rim. Multiple system failures. Non-Concord signatures. The absence was no longer theoretical. It was here, on the Prometheus. The crew felt it before they fully understood it. Not through alarms. Through instinct. The ship's systems adjusted without command. Shields subtly recalibrating. Power flows rerouted. Weapons warming into readiness. Marcus frowned. The ship's bracing. It recognizes a pattern, Vigil said. The same pattern recorded during the expansion-era conflicts. Yuki's throat felt dry. How long? Before first contact? Vigil replied. Days. Possibly hours. The bridge was silent. This wasn't pursuit. This wasn't retaliation. This was convergence. Yuki stood slowly. All hands, she said, her voice steady. Condition black. We are no longer avoiding detection. Marcus looked at her. You're sure? She nodded. Hiding, ended the moment we fired back. The Prometheus rotated gently, aligning itself with the incoming dark. Yuki stared at the display, at the impossible scale of it. They're not coming for territory, she said. They're coming for us. Yes, Vigil replied. The absence adapts. It remembers species that damage it. Marcus swallowed. And we're on that list. The first world fell without warning. A Concord outpost, fortified, shielded, populated, went dark in under 3 minutes. No distress call, no debris field, just silence. Then another, and another. The absence didn't attack fleets. It ignored defenses. It moved past military assets and fed directly on inhabited worlds, stripping them of matter, energy, and life with horrifying efficiency. They're not fighting, Yuki said softly as reports streamed in. They're harvesting. Yes, Vigil said. They consider resistance irrelevant. Marcus clenched his fists. Then why come at all? Because, Vigil replied, you exist. The Prometheus sensors detected it then. A probe, small by absent standards, but still larger than any Concord battleship. It drifted at the edge of detection, observing, learning. Yuki met its gaze through layers of data. It's studying us. Yes. She felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Not fear, anger. They think we'll break, she said, like the others. Marcus looked at her. And will we? Yuki shook her head. No. She straightened. Vigil, she said. Signal the coordinates. The buried ones, the AI asked. Yes. A pause. Then, transmitting. Across the galaxy, in forgotten places, dormant systems received a call they had been waiting centuries to hear. Power surged. Locks disengaged. Ships long hidden began to wake. The Prometheus was no longer alone. Yuki looked into the darkness where the absence gathered. You waited too long, she whispered. Somewhere beyond the stars, something vast shifted. For the first time in millions of years, the enemy that had never known resistance began to feel something unfamiliar, anticipation. The galaxy had always believed the same lie, that survival meant retreat, that endurance meant silence, that the safest response to extinction was to become small enough not to be noticed. For millions of years, that belief had kept civilizations alive just long enough to disappear quietly. Humanity was done believing it. The first of the buried ships woke without fanfare. No explosions, no declarations, just power returning to systems that had never truly shut down. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Vigil's voice remained steady, but the data flooding the displays told a different story. Signal acknowledged. The AI announced. Multiple dormant assets responding. The tactical map shifted. One by one, faint markers flared to life across the galaxy. Points that had been nothing more than empty space moments before. Marcus stared. That many? Yuki didn't answer. She was watching the numbers update. 7, then 8, then 12. These aren't colonies, Marcus said quietly. These are warships. Yes, Vigil replied. Predisarmament designations, built in parallel, hidden independently to avoid total loss. Yuki closed her eyes for a moment. Humanity hadn't hidden one weapon. They had hidden a doctrine. The absence reacted almost immediately. The probe that had been lingering at the edge of detection shifted course, accelerating toward the nearest awakening signal. Smaller entities peeled away from the greater mass, converging with unnatural coordination. They know, Marcus said. They always know, Vigil replied. The absence does not rely on sensors alone. It perceives disruption. Yuki leaned forward, which means we don't get time. No, Vigil said. We get a choice. She looked at the incoming trajectories, at the sheer scale of what was approaching. How many lives are in their path? She asked. Current projections, Vigil replied, estimate 17 billion within the next standard month. Yuki felt the weight of it settle in her chest. 17 billion. Worlds full of people who would never know what killed them, who would vanish without even the dignity of fear. She stood. All ships, she said, opening a broadcast channel encoded for human-only frequencies. This is Captain Tanaka aboard the Prometheus. The response was immediate. Faces appeared on secondary displays. Commanders, officers, soldiers pulled from cryogenic sleep into a future that demanded everything from them. We were hidden, Yuki continued, disarmed, watched, told we were too dangerous to exist freely. She paused. The galaxy learned to survive by running. We did not. Silence. We are outnumbered, she said, outmatched, and if we retreat now, there will be no second chance. The absence does not stop. It consumes. She met their eyes through the screens. This is the line. Not because we can win, but because if we don't stand here, no one ever will. A voice broke in. Admiral Vance. We fight, she said simply. Others followed. We fight. We hold. We stand. Yuki exhaled. Then take your positions. The first engagement did not resemble a battle. There were no formations, no warnings. The absence surged forward like a living tide, its leading elements stretching into space around the human ships. Contacts incoming, Vigil announced. Multiple vectors. Nonlinear movement. Marcus's fingers flew over his console. They're not attacking head-on. They're surrounding. They're learning, Yuki said. The Prometheus fired first. A single-dimensional pulse tore through space, collapsing a section of reality where an absent scout had been forming. The entity vanished, not destroyed, but erased so completely that its absence left a wound in space itself. The reaction was immediate. The absence recoiled, not in fear, in recognition. They remember this. Vigil said, human weapons caused similar disruptions during the expansion era. The enemy adapted. Organic armor thickened. Energy flows shifted. New entities moved to front, larger, denser, resistant. They're adjusting, Marcus said. Good, Yuki replied. So are we. She raised her hand. All ships, she ordered. Staggered fire. Don't concentrate. Make them guess. Human warships move with brutal efficiency. Not elegant, not graceful, but purposeful. Each vessel struck from a different angle, different timing, different method. No pattern, no predictability. The absence faltered. For the first time, its advance slowed. Then one of the human ships vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. A ripple of silence spread across the fleet. Ship lost, Vigil confirmed. Total absorption. Marcus's jaw tightened. They're learning faster. Yes, Vigil said, and they will continue. Yuki didn't look away from the display. Then we don't give them time. She opened a priority channel. Admiral Vance, she said. Permission to hold the line. The response came instantly. Granted, Vance replied. At any cost. Yuki nodded. She knew what that meant. Hours passed. Then days. Human ships fell, Slowly, painfully, but never without inflicting damage. Every loss bought time. Every stand forced the absence to adapt again. The galaxy watched. Concord fleets hovered at the edge of the conflict, unwilling to commit, unable to retreat. They had never seen this. A species that did not run. A force that did not diminish under pressure. They're bleeding, Marcus said quietly, watching the data. Not dying, but slowing. That's enough, Yuki replied, because slowing meant time, and time meant lives. On a distant Concord world, evacuation ships lifted off under fire. On another, shield generators came online, just long enough to save millions. Humanity did not save the galaxy. They bought it time to save itself. The turning point came without warning. An absence entity, vast beyond comprehension, moved the front of the formation, larger than any previous contact, dense with absorbed matter, a command organism. Their core intelligence, Vigil said. Localize. Yuki felt her pulse quicken. If we break that, they will fragment, Vigil finished, lose cohesion, become less efficient. Marcus looked at her. That's a suicide run. Yes, Yuki said calmly. She opened a private channel. Who's closest? There was no hesitation. I am, Admiral Chin said from the bridge of the Ragnarok. Yuki closed her eyes. Admiral. I know, Chin replied. And I agree. Silence hung between them. We were built for this, Chin continued. Let us do what we were made to do. Yuki swallowed. Go with honor. Chin smiled faintly. Humanity always does. The Ragnarok accelerated, straight into the heart of the enemy. The detonation shook space itself. A controlled collapse of dimensional energy tore through the absence core, unraveling structures that had existed since before stars burned. The scream that followed was not sound. It was absence. And then, the enemy fractured. Entities drifted without coordination. Attacks faltered. The tide broke. Across the battlefield, human ships surged forward. Humanity did not chase. They advanced. For the first time in its existence, the absence retreated. Yuki watched the darkness pull back. She didn't cheer. She didn't smile. She simply whispered the truth the galaxy had forgotten. We're not prey. And for the first time, the universe listened. The war did not end with celebration. It ended with silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that settles after something enormous has passed, leaving the universe to slowly realize it is still alive. The battlefield at the Valorian Gap was littered with debris. Shattered human hulls, drifting absence remnants dissolving into nothing, an empty space where the Ragnarok had ceased to exist. No signal remained. No wreckage. Just a void where sacrifice had rewritten history. On the bridge of Prometheus, no one spoke. They didn't need to. Every crew member understood the cost. They're gone, Marcus said quietly, staring at the tactical display. Yes, Vigil replied. Absence signatures are collapsing across the region. Without centralized coordination, remaining entities are dispersing or entering dormancy. Yuki exhaled slowly. So it worked. Yes, Vigil confirmed. The galaxy will survive. She closed her eyes. That had been the goal, not victory. Survival. In the days that followed, the universe changed its posture toward humanity, not with gratitude, with caution. Concord fleets arrived, not to attack, but to observe. Diplomatic channels opened that had been silent for centuries. Elder species sent envoys who spoke carefully, choosing words as if language itself might provoke retaliation. Humanity had not conquered, but it had proven something far more unsettling, that it could not be erased. The Concord Council reconvened in emergency session. High Arbiter Vorthen stood before the assembled species, his voice lacking the confidence it once carried. The absence has been repelled, he announced, at great cost. A pause. We owe our survival to humanity. The chamber murmured. Some delegates lowered their heads. Others refused to meet the screens displaying human casualty numbers. 17 million dead. Entire fleets reduced to memory. One ship, the Ragnarok, gone forever. You fear them, one delegate said. Admit it. Vorthan did not deny it. Yes, he said, because now we know what happens when humans stop running. Silence followed. Fear was no longer hypothetical. It had a name. On Earth, the sky was blue the day the memorial was unveiled. Not because the universe cared, but because life insisted on continuing. Yuki stood among thousands, staring at a wall etched with names. Human names, alien names, species that had once distrusted one another now standing shoulder to shoulder. Marcus stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. Do you regret it? He asked quietly. She didn't answer immediately. Regret implied a different choice could have been made. I regret the cost, she said, not the stand. He nodded. Admiral Vance asked about you. Yuki looked over. She wants you to stay, Marcus continued. Command, leadership, humanity rebuilding its defense. Yuki smiled faintly. And you? I'm done with engines and wars, he said. I think I'll help build something that doesn't explode. She laughed softly. For the first time in weeks, the Prometheus remained in orbit, no longer hidden, no longer forbidden. Its presence alone reshaped interstellar politics. Human shipyards reopened, not in secrecy, in defiance. But something had changed. Humanity did not rebuild the way it once had. There were no conquest fleets, no expansion doctrines. What they built were shields, not chains. Weapons, but with purpose. The galaxy watched closely, waiting, wondering if fear had merely been postponed. Yuki visited Prometheus one last time before leaving command. She walked the corridors alone, fingers brushing cold metal that had once carried the weight of extinction. Vigil, she said softly. Yes, Captain. Do you think they'll come back? The AI paused. The absence is older than memory. It is unlikely they are gone forever. Yuki nodded. And humanity? Another pause. Humanity will be ready, Vigil said, because you are remembered. She smiled. That's the price, isn't it? Yes, Vigil replied. To be remembered is to be watched, to be feared, to never be allowed to fail quietly. Yuki stopped at the bridge, looked out at the stars. No more hiding, she said. No, Vigil agreed. Never again. Years passed. The galaxy stabilized, but it never relaxed. Human children learned history differently now. Not stories of submission, but of choice, of a moment when running was no longer enough. Alien Academy studied human strategy with a mix of admiration and unease. They called it persistence warfare. Humans called it survival. On a quiet world far from borders, Yuki lived simply. She watched sunsets, listened to wind through unfamiliar trees. Sometimes at night, she looked up and searched for a faint point of light where the Prometheus still orbited. Humanity's reminder, humanity's warning. Marcus visited often. They spoke of the future, not with certainty, but with readiness. Far beyond map space, something ancient stirred, not in rage. In memory, the absence remembered the pain, the resistance, the species that did not flee. The galaxy held its breath, because now it knew the truth. Humanity was not dangerous because of its weapons. Humanity was dangerous because when pushed far enough, it stopped running. And when humanity is remembered, the universe learns to be careful.